Saturday, the 5th of April, 2025, where we are looking at our study entitled Marriage and Family Planning, coming to us by Brother Keegan Banda. And so we shall now hand over to Brother Keegan Banda to give us the prayer thought, and then the prayer, then we continue.
Let's read the same. We continue with the lesson that we began last week, marriage and family planning. We are reading from Adventist Home 121 to 121, paragraph 2. So we're reading from Adventist Home 121, paragraph 1 to 121, paragraph 2. Okay. It reads, it says, Jesus did not enforce celibacy. Those who regard the marriage relation as one of God's sacred ordinances, guarded by his holy precept, will be controlled by the dictates of reason. So it says emotions should be not the one to guard us. Emotions, we should be guarded by his holy precept, will be controlled by the dictates of reason. Those who regard the marriage relation. You understand what this means? Ade? Paragraph 1, 121, paragraph 1 says, Jesus did not enforce celibacy. Dash, those who regard the marriage relation as one of God's sacred ordinances, guarded by his Holy Spirit, his holy precept, will be controlled by the dictates of reason. You understood that? So Jesus did not enforce celibacy upon any class of men. He came not to destroy the sacred relationship of marriage, but to exalt it and restore it to its original sanctity. He looks with pleasure upon the family relationship where sacred and unselfish love bears sway. Okay, so with this prayer thought, we're going to kneel down and pray, hoping that you understood the prayer thought. This prayer thought is not advising us to stop people from marrying. Okay, this prayer thought is saying that Jesus Christ did not enforce people to stop marrying, rather to encourage them to marry, because God is happy, or Jesus is happy, seeing the people who are connected in marriage, a relationship. That's what we see here. And he looks with pleasure upon the family relationship where sacred and unselfish love bears sway. That's what we see from here. Okay. And that we should be controlled by the dictates of reason and guarded by his holy precept. That is the holy precept, the Bible, and also we should be guarded by reason when we're reasoning these things out. So we are going to pray, because there are people, for instance, who enforce saying, okay, since we are living in the last days, we should not marry, like Paul. Yes, that could be a reason, but according to Christ's side, it should not be a sermon to enforce people to stop marrying. It can be your personal decision but not to agitate and begin to preach to tell people to stop marrying. Okay. That's like the personal decision of Christ. Christ, when he came, he was a celibate. Paul was also celibate, but they never enforced anyone to be celibate. Okay. So we're going to kneel down and pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, we thank you for today once again, for having given us this lesson to continue. May you open our brain cells to appreciate and comprehend this lesson. May you make us to understand this lesson. May you speak to us in a special way. The lesson of marriage and family planning and the things, oh Lord, that we do not understand. May you help us to understand them. Bless each one of us and the audience, the hearers, and those people that they're going to hear this. May you also bless them. And then we just do pray thanksgiving in our hearts. Amen. Amen. So last time you noticed saying you skipped part of marriage, eh?
Yeah, just on that one, yeah, brother Tebas Mkumbuta, when he went through the lesson, forwarded a few questions, which I want to share. Let's see if I can find that quickly.
Maybe I know it. Is it the one he asked saying if you are in marriage, I mean, if you have sex?
Wait for 9 months?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
He asked
Oh, you answered me?
No.
Okay.
I told him saying you should wait for the lesson.
Okay.
Because he,
Oh, okay. Then it's good that you have the question. So it's okay. Then you can proceed.
the first question he asked is the question saying that if you have intimacy, sexual relationship or sex intercourse during pregnancy, are you what do you call sharing your faculty or your faculty, okay, which is not a correct understanding. After you have to read it, you see that meaning he did not understand the lesson by virtue of him asking such a question. I mean, putting such a phrase, because he asked a question. He says, what I've gotten from the lesson, you can read.
Yeah, okay. What things I got from the lesson is that there should be no sex with the pregnant wife because the father may transfer his faculties to the unborn.
Okay, so meaning you did not really get the lesson. You understand what he is summarizing.
Then the other question says, do we need to wait for 9 months? Is my question. So,
okay. So you said he only has one question. Hello, have you gotten, Sister Olivia? Have you gotten the first understanding of the lesson? It says we should not have sexual intercourse during pregnancy because the father may transfer his faculty to the unborn child. Was that the lesson? We know the nature of this room, Sister Olivia. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to speak from memory. I think I remember you said something like that, saying that it shouldn't happen as in when the woman is pregnant, they shouldn't have that sexual intercourse because of the, is it because of the, what's this?
the orgasm that.
Yeah, I think.
So I think that we do well to begin from there, meaning all of us do not get it. You know the faculty. What is a faculty? That's the faculty. In the dictionary, what's the faculty? Oh, faculty. Mr. Olivia, in your presentation, you mentioned much of the faculty. What is it?
Physical power.
Okay. So when you have a child, okay, in the sperm we learned saying your faculty is what? Is there. Okay. So automatically, if your child is yours, also your child has your what? Your faculty, your intellectual. Okay. In his question is saying that when you have sexual intercourse during during pregnancy, the father may transfer his faculty to the unborn, so we should not have it. That wasn't the reason by counsel. Okay, by virtue of that being your child, that child has your what? Your faculty. Is your child, has your mental attributes, has your characteristics. Eh? That child is your child. So what did the reason council give to why we should not have sexual intercourse during pregnancy, during the 9 months of pregnancy? Should we have sexual intercourse during pregnancy? Okay, that's what council was trying now to address to us. Let us reread those same quotes so that we appreciate them. Okay, COAP 95 paragraph 1. Solemn appeal paragraph, 95 paragraph 1. COAP 95 paragraph 1. Brother Piri also shared this book. And also you should again share this book. What is this? How to live. How to live also, most of people, they don't consider it. Okay. So yes, sex during pregnancy robs the unborn child of its what? Nutrient. Okay. Let me explain it in my vocabulary so that you understand. This one, sex during pregnancy robs the unborn child of its nutrient. What it means, not what he said. He said the father may transfer his faculty. No. Robbing the child of robbing the unborn child of its nutrient is that because during the orgasm, the nutrients, the orgasm that a person will experience, they are going to release, okay, much nutrients which was supposed to develop the unborn child. So therefore, council is advising us, saying we should not have sexual intercourse during pregnancy because the nutrients which are supposed to develop the unborn child in the womb is expended, is used instead of developing the unborn child. Let me read this quote. It says, the child is begotten in mere passion. The father transmits his propensities to indulge along with the excitement of irritation of sexual organs arising from those propensities. And not only this, but the sexual passion is indulged during pregnancy, which causes the mother to transmit doubly of the for you to the offspring within her womb. While at the same time, the nervous force expended detracts just so much from the rights of the child to inherit a strong, well-balanced, and healthy organism. Organization. Then this is where the point is. It says every orgasm expends of the mother's vitality, a portion that should go to nourish and develop her baby. Every orgasm expends of the mother's vitality, a portion that should go to nourish and develop her baby. Very much of the weakness and lassitude experienced during pregnancy is due to the exhaustion consequent upon the sexual embrace, and the forming child must suffer from its effects, for the mother cannot impart what she does not herself possess. Health and strength with elasticity of mind and earnestness of purpose. You've understood this, Scott?
So we see that the correct way as to what Brother Kumbuta wanted to understand was to say, because when the woman is pregnant and the man maybe has intercourse with that woman more often than not, or should we say when they are having intimacy, it shows that that pregnant woman at that moment, all her energies are supposed to be expended to nourish the child. And so when there is intercourse, when the woman reaches orgasm during that intercourse, part of that vitality that should go to help the development of the child is robbed from the child. So when that happens, you find that the child lacks the strength that it should be able to grow by because it is taken away from her. So now we see that the more that sexual intercourse is repeated, the answer we are seeing is the more the baby is robbed of those vital or that strength that we were supposed to receive. So, like you have rightly said on his question, what needed to be asked was during that period. So, should we do it and we to wait for 9 months? Maybe now, having understood or helped the question to be in the correct phrase, we see that what needed to be asked was, okay, we see that the child is robbed of the vitals during orgasm. Yeah, so when the woman reaches orgasm, definitely she robs the child of that. So now the question is, are we to wait for 9 months? Yes.
Before we go even to that question, we have to cement more, because most of the people who are in marriage, when they hear this, they say this is just maybe the book that you are reading, so it's difficult to follow it, or we can't adhere, we can't follow this. Also, we went ahead to read the example of Jesus Christ. We read Matthew chapter 1, verse 24. We discovered, actually you can read it, Matthew chapter 1, verse 24. We discovered that when Mary was pregnant, did Joseph have intercourse with Mary? Did Joseph have intercourse with Mary? Okay.
That is Matthew chapter 1. Oh, just a moment. Verse 24. Is it 24 and 25? Okay.
The point was on 25.
Okay, Matthew chapter 1, verse 24 and 25. Okay. So, verse 24, the Bible says, then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him, and he took unto him his wife. Verse 25, and knew not her till she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Jesus.
Not her, is to do what? To have sexual intercourse. Joseph wanted, when he heard saying that Mary was pregnant, he did not have intercourse with her. He said, okay. Then the angel explained, saying, no, this pregnancy that she has is of the Holy Ghost, because he wanted to say, me, I haven't had intercourse with her. Maybe she's cheated. She cheated me. That's what maybe Joseph thought. But the angel explained. After he heard the explanation from the angel saying, do not leave her, then he went to get her. Then the Bible says he did not know her until she was what? Until she gave birth to the same child. Okay, meaning that the what? You know, the atonement rule, Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur rule should be there. Atonement rule should be there. Remember that the high priest used to enter into the what? Into the most holy place once. Pay what? Pay. So if you've impregnated, you see, once pay what? We're going to understand this from the biblical perspective. Okay. Which they are called statutory laws. Huh? Remember, they are mentioned in the military stand, saying the statutory laws from the biblical perspective of the Bible. I don't remember that page. Statutory laws from the military stand. Oh, sorry, Mount Carmel Training Center. Right, Mount Carmel Training Center. I think so. That book. Okay. So we've cemented on that one, unless there are more questions on that same one. Then we go on the menstrual cycle. You know, the menstrual cycle, I thought the chalk was to explain on this. Yes, okay. This one is mentioning the statutory laws, but I won't go here. Okay, so the statutory laws of the Old Testament, Leviticus 20 verse 10 to 14, Deuteronomy 22 verse 22 to 30, imposing under that dispensation the death sentence for violation of the sanctity of the home, charges a Christian with the accountability to use whatever measures as are within his power to protect the chastity of wife and children. Okay, so even council, we see there considers the statutory laws. Even council, the road considers the statutory laws there from that court. That's what you see from. But that is another lesson to go deep in those verses. So I just wanted to make you know that the council considers the statutory laws, because others will say, statutory laws, they were nailed to the cross. You know, others would say like that. You know, because when council is telling you about because the statutory laws, that's why also you find the law of incest, the law of menstruation, the law of tithe. Okay, those are statutory laws, which most of people again would they don't consider them, because they think as if they are all nailed to the cross in Colossians chapter 2 verse 14. But the what were nailed to the cross, we know it's the ceremonial laws, not the statutory laws. Okay. Okay.
I'm saying the statutory laws and the moral laws were not nailed.
Yes, they are not nailed to the cross. Okay. So here it says, so now we're going to the menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle, others they think menstrual cycle is the time the woman is attending. That's not true. Menstrual cycle is the entire cycle. It's not cycle, it's cycle. You understand? Cycle. The entire yonse Africa Chani, to round up the entire they call it what? All the follicular and luteal phase of the woman is complete, the entire cycle, the menstrual cycle. So it says the menstrual cycle is a series of natural changes in hormone production and the structures of the uterus and ovaries of a female reproductive system that make a pregnancy possible. So the menstrual cycle, for a woman, is very important for her, even a man, to understand the menstrual cycle. If you do not understand the menstrual cycle of a woman, there's no way you're going to learn her moods, because during the menstrual cycle of a woman governs also her mood, the mood of a woman. Also, the possibility of her getting pregnant. If you do not understand the menstrual cycle, you do not understand the moods of the woman and the possibility of her getting pregnant. For instance, there's a time when a woman is irritable. Okay, is irritable. Maybe if she's she's towards happy, okay, her menses, she'll be irritable. Okay, then you maybe not, you will not communicate properly with her because you do not understand. You think she's just irritable. Okay, so if you truly understand her, you'll be able to know how to communicate to her. Because sometimes menses also, they come with what they call pain. Others, they have headache, back pain, okay, cramps, nausea, and after they finish attending, others, they lose blood. Understand? Okay, so we have to understand that. See, even in our tradition, if you are a parent, then your child has menstruated, she started her menses. You have to know, as a parent, both mother and father, you have to know that your child has started to attend, and the mother needed to give counsel to the child. Okay, caution not to be playing with men. Again, to caution her that she can get pregnant, because during that time is when now the sexual emotions, to be appealing to her. So you should give counsel. But you know, those people, I don't know what has happened today. Tradition has been nailed, disregarded. Today, females, they don't know. Others, they just get surprised, saying that they were not educated on how they are going to attend. They just see blood. You've seen women that they didn't know. When you've gone into that discussion where it says you discuss with females how they started attending, we discover that maybe they didn't know. They were not informed by their parents that they will attend one day, they will see blood. They just saw blood. Then maybe others, they just maybe in a classroom, then they see blood. Then the friends notice the blood, say, you, hey, what? Then again, maybe others, they don't know. Then she begins to learn. Then she begins to hide. That thing becomes the issue of discreet. She doesn't inform the parents that she started her menses. The parents, they don't even know. They don't even care. Understand? So this is the issue which all of us, we have to be interested into this, so that also we should educate our children, and we should know the menstrual cycle of our wives, okay, and the women that we intend to marry. Okay, it says the ovarian cycle controls the production and release of eggs. You know, eggs, they are called ova. The eggs from the fallopian tubes. Okay. Kulima tima kambati tubiri tumachani. Ma ovaries, kuli tubiri, so ma ovary. Okuka ovary oku now. So kwamene kuja tumachari release machani ma ova, they are called eggs. That's the reason in the Bible where you say that Christ, in Genesis, where it says the seed of a woman, the woman does not have a seed, she has eggs. So if he says the seed of a woman, there's no way possible that a woman was to have a seed. Automatically, that verse was predicting that a woman, a virgin, is going to have a seed. to have, you know, that seed is Christ. Huh? That seed comes from whom? It's the sperm. Seed comes from a man. Seed does not come from a woman. Woman is their eggs that come from there. Okay, so seed of a woman, it means that a woman is going to have a sperm in her that is going to be, you know, fertilized and produce a child. That child, we know it was Christ. So meaning that woman was not to meet a man. You know, it was automatically, that verse was automatically a prediction of Christ. So we see from here, it says the eggs, the ovarian cycle controls the production and release of eggs and the cyclic release of estrogen and progesterone. You know, estrogen and progesterone, these are the key hormones to understand, because the estrogen is dominant when a woman is attending her menses to the time she's ovulating. Estrogen is done what? Is dominant. It's the one that controls the follicular phase of that phase. Because during the time she's attending, estrogen is anchored dominant. Then the time she'll be, she'll be fertile, estrogen is the one that is dominant during that time. Okay? Then the time when she's fertile, you can have intimacy with her because estrogen levels are dominant. Then the time when she's done her fertile stage, progesterone is dominant because progesterone, the purpose of progesterone is to build, in case there was the egg met the sperm, the seed, then fertilization, progesterone will regulate, say, will begin now to build the womb to prepare the place of the child. Progesterone. That's the reason today the pharmacists, you know, they've learned saying that women hormones, they just understand this progesterone and estrogen. So during the time of when a woman can become pregnant, amupasa progesterone. Yes, progesterone. You check over the family, all the family ingredients, family planning ingredients, you discover all of them is progesterone hormone. So if she's what do you call, she's taking whichever, no plant, Depo-Provera, all of them, those ones for 3 months, 5 years, okay? And most of them, they have all progesterone dominance. Progesterone, when a woman is taking progesterone, she can't be pregnant. Okay, so they disturb what you call the follicular phase and luteal phase of a woman. Okay, and again, you can be shocked that in the food that we eat, like the cows, let me give you the example of the cows. The cows, they're injected with the bovine growth hormones, meaning that the cows, they have estrogen. Remember the cows, how they're inseminated with the sperm, okay? Then they are pregnant for us to have milk. The cows, they need to be repeatedly inseminated so that they are pregnant, so that the milk or the dairy industry get milk from the female cows, and they need to be injected with bovine growth hormones, estrogen, in short, estrogen hormones, so that they have excess milk. And now when we take the milk or we eat those same animals, the cows, beef in particular, then we have our hormones in us. We have our hormones in us. Then those hormones, then we see females today. Mama menses 9 years. Montreambaja. Mama menses because of the food that we're eating. The breast, the mammary glands, already they are ripe. You know, cancer tells you saying that when she reaches her flowers, they reach her flowering early now, today. Then olden times, they used to reach their flowers at the age of 15. Okay, but today is 9. Science says, okay, 12, 13 is okay. But today, females, they will start flowering at the age of what? 9. 9 years. Shibakula. Because of the food that we eat. Okay. So the estrogen and progesterone, they are key in this study. Okay, family planning. Those that understand family planning, they understand estrogen and progesterone. The uterine cycle governs the preparation and maintenance of the lining of the what? The uterine cycle governs the preparation and maintenance of the lining of the uterus, that is the womb, okay, to receive a fertilized egg. These cycles are concurrent and coordinated and normally last between 21 to 35 days. That is the menstrual cycle. Okay, there are 2 cycles, the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle in the menstrual cycle. Okay, these cycles are concurrent and coordinated. They normally last between 21 to 35 days in adult women, with a median or average length of 21 days. That's the one we know. Okay, and continue for about 30. Sorry, 28 days. I said it was me. Okay. With a medium or average length of 28 days, and continue for about 30 to 45 years. Okay. So we know that the menopause, it begins to pause at what? Okay, 45. So this will continue from it will continue for about 30 to 45 years. That's what basically happened. Okay. So naturally, occurring hormones drive the cycles. The cyclical rise and fall of the follicle or follicular phase, follicle stimulating hormone, prompts the production and growth of oocytes, which are eggs, immature egg cells. Okay. The hormone estrogen stimulates the what? I explained this one. Stimulates the hormone estrogen stimulates the lining to thicken to accommodate an embryo. Okay, embryo should fertilization occur. The blood supply of the thickened lining endometrium, the lining velvet of the uterus, provides nutrients to a successful implanted embryo, okay, which is the child, unborn child. If implantation does not occur, the lining breaks down. Okay, if implantation doesn't occur, for instance, there was no seed to meet the egg. Okay, if implantation does not occur, what happens? The lining will do what? Will break. The lining, the endometrium breaks. Okay, down and blood is released. The mambona mainichani, menses. That is menses. Okay, triggered by falling progesterone levels, menstruation, a period in common parlance is the cyclical shedding of the lining and a sign that pregnancy has not occurred. Okay, that's the sign. When you see a woman, for instance, if you met, then you wait for time of her for her to attend menses, then you see that she's attending. It means pregnancy has not what? Has not taken place. Okay. But if you see that she's missed her pregnancy, meaning the implantation did what? Happened. The pregnancy happened. So there's no need for the uterus to shed off its what? Its content. Okay? There's no need for that to happen. So meaning the menses happened. Meaning pregnancy happened. Each cycle occurs in phases based on events in the ovary. Ovarian cycle or the uterus, that is uterine cycle. The ovarian cycles consist of the follicular phase, this one, the one I was talking about, ovulation, and the luteal phase. The uterine cycle consists of the menstrual, proliferative, and secretory phases. Day one of the menstrual cycle is the first day of the period. Day one of the menstrual cycle. So how you count is you begin from day one of the menstrual cycle, the first day of the period. So you begin from the first day of your period to the time when you are about to attend. That's the complete cycle. The one of the menstrual cycle is the first day of your period, which lasts for about 5 days. This is just basically science. It's not the biblical what, because Bible understanding of the menstrual cycle, it should last for 7 days. When I tell women saying that your message should last for 7 days, they say, last. So if they are not, one of the causes of the fibroids in the womb is because females attend 3 to 4 days menstrual cycle. So they are not shedding off everything from their uterus. So because of that, the purification is not complete of the uterus. Then they will have what you call things which are remaining there. They grow, they are like tumors, growth which they call fibroids. Okay, so if you want to help such women, you should make sure that you give them medicine that will regulate her menses. Maybe it can extend 6 to 7 days. Fenugreek is among them. Fenugreek can extend women's menses 6 to 7 days. They can be attending. Or you can have interviews with those women, older women. They will tell you saying, us, we used to attend for how many? 6 to 7 days, they know. But as they were growing, they started eating these foods. Their menses were what? Were cut to half. They started attending 3, 2, or not attending.
Yeah, so sorry, brother Banda, we got cut the network connections. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we are studying is quite interesting in the sense that when you look at the two hormones that we have so far seen, and which you have like talked much on what even science is using, like the progesterone side, where they give women progesterone to stop them from conceiving. So in short, we see that the work of the progesterone in a simpler term would be to weaken the lining of the uterus so that the conception doesn't occur, right? I must be. Oh, okay. Yeah, because from what we were seeing is the other hormone, its use or when it is produced, it helps to thicken the lining to prepare for the for the child now to grow and develop if at all fertilization occurs. So now I was just asking on progesterone because I really wanted to get it clear to say in simple terms it is saying that its duty is to weaken the lining and have the blood released, isn't it? I'm asking now.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, so let me just say what I understand now. Okay, what I understand, because there's also on the net you can discover there's a certain woman that discovered what you call when she read this, she discovered seed cycle. She called it seed cycle. So she came up with the seed cycle protocol of controlling hormones. She can control, or you can have fibroids or any other conditions. She can control them using seeds. So she discovered that in the follicular phase, the dominance is estrogen. Yes, estrogen. So estrogen, so the medicine that she gives is because during that phase, remember the question. You should remember the question. I'm trying to attempt it in this to answer the question. In the follicular phase, is that actually quite is related to the moon. In the follicular phase, the seeds which a woman should be taking is the seeds dominance in a progesterone, so that they balance up what we call estrogen and progesterone, because the problem that women have today is excess estrogen. Okay, excess estrogen, it causes infertility problems and the cancers in women. Breast cancer is due to excess estrogen. Okay, and also brings fibroids. So in short, what's supposed to prepare the womb? Because in the luteal phase, the dominance, in the luteal phase, the dominance is the progesterone. So in that luteal phase, in short, the follicular phase is how many? You just cut per cut. 21 days divided by 2, isn't it? 28 days divided by, okay, 14. So the first 14 from menstruation to ovulation is luteal. So in the estrogen turn. So it's follicular. It's estrogen dominance. Then ilukui, this other side is the luteal. The time when, in case you're impregnated, then what happens is that the progesterone are going to do what? They are going to build the womb. Okay, they're going to build the womb. But if it did not happen, what happens is that the progesterone, it breaks the what? The womb. You've understood now? Huh?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
okay.
saying. In simple terms, that is what it does.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
because I was following technique, or maybe it is saying that the hormone estrogen stimulates the uterus lining to thicken to accommodate an embryo should fertilization occur. Okay? The blood supply of the thickened lining, endometrium, provides nutrients to a successfully implanted embryo. If implantation does not occur, the lining breaks down and blood is released, triggered by falling progesterone levels. Menstruation, a period in common parlance, is the cyclical shedding of the lining and is a sign that pregnancy has not occurred. So there you see that according to this statement, it is showing us that the lowering of progesterone, yes, is the cause. So that's what I wanted to understand, because in the way you are putting it, it was like I didn't get it clearly as to whether progesterone increases or reduces, because you just use the word dominance. So yeah.
Because the reason writer says falling of progesterone, because in the luteal phase, in the phase when dominance of progesterone, the 14 days of after, let me write. Okay, let me go to this chart. Let me show you the last one. Okay, you're able to see the screen? Okay, it's this one, so I don't know if I can manage to zoom it. Can it be zoomed? Okay. Yeah. So understanding is in this way.
Yeah.
Okay. So understanding is in this way. So you see, you've seen here, this is the menstruation. So the menstruation, the one of menstruation, you've seen here, the one of menstruation to the time of what? Oh, that is the one. So you come back to that statement was saying that the falling of progesterone, it begins leading the falling of progesterone at the time of the menses, you know, progesterone. So then now in the luteal phase, when you want to divide this in the luteal and follicular phase, is that the follicular phase is from the time of menses here, the time of menses up to the time of ovulation. That is somewhere here, day 14, seen here, day 14. Okay, this is the follicular phase. In this follicular phase, progesterone, since progesterone is falling, there, falling, and it was dominant, then it is falling, meaning progesterone is rising. The levels of the levels of estrogen is rising, progesterone is declining, going down. Then in this, because the reason to why estrogen has to be dominant here is because in case you meet a woman, because here menstruation, the womb has been broken, menstruation is happening, then after the menses is done, then about day 12 to day 14, ovulation happen. When a woman they begin to see the white stuff, when they begin to see the white stuff, then they meet, or you meet them. What happens that they can be pregnant. Then what happens now? The same estrogen will help to thicken, okay, to thicken the uterus, to thicken the uterus and to prepare the child there. Then it will not even last many days, because it is just 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 days later, the progesterone levels are going to again turn, they are going to increase. Then the preparation of the uterus to thicken so that it prevents it from breaking happen, because there's a child there. Then from here, day 15 up to here, day 31, Okay. Up to day 31. This is called the luteal phase, the time when progesterone is dominant. But here we are discussing in case it's pregnant, progesterone is dominant. But if there's no pregnancy, what happens? Discover that only after day 31, day 1, progesterone will begin to fall. What happens is that there will be the breaking of the uterus. Then that is called the menstrual cycle. I don't know if you have understood it now.
Yeah, no, I'm getting it loud and clear because it is now showing us that from the time that the first day of menstruation starts, it is showing us that the estrogen levels are increasing in preparation for the walls to thicken.
Yes.
Up to about the 15th day.
Yes.
So from the 15th day, that is when now progesterone also increases. Yes. So now towards maybe the should be, is it the 22nd day, the levels of progesterone starts to decrease, and then in readiness for, yes. So now I understand, because when you are just saying that this one is dominant, so I was like, if this one is dominant and the other one is dominant, but again, the statement is saying when it lowers. So that is where I was missing the concept. Now I understand to say from the 15th day, progesterone starts to increase up to like the 21st day, it is on the higher side. But from the 22nd up to the 31st, it starts doing what? Lowering. And so by the time it reaches the first day, it is so low that now the blood is seen to come out of a woman up to the 7th day. So from the 8th day, you see that the what is the estrogen begins to increase up to around the 14th day, meaning now by the time between 12th and the 14th day that the egg is released, then you have the highest point of estrogen levels. And then from the 15th to the 21st, you have more like the highest levels of progesterone. Then from the 22nd to the 31st, you have the progesterone starting to decrease, just like that. So that is what I've gotten from there.
So if you come, you can come. So if you've understood this, you discover that you'll be able to help any woman when it comes to balancing hormones. Yeah, come.
Thank you. Nina my questions, but before my questions, but the question imoza amene mukaliboyanga. The same question amene mukumbuta.
Oh, no, that one is in the lesson. So that's we're going step by step.
Okay.
Or maybe by full foot tembele, that's what is it.
Or maybe okay.
When you say kapanga pesa tikapati yakumbuta maybe kanti nawe kusira mujira ina.
Ni temna nikabati. Point imoza amene nifuna muchite.
Yakumbuta need because bayanka kwa ina.
Ija first bayanka yo kambati ya. Ija first bayanka pa during na nani kana mele mezi wakambati na understand lesson, but what about this one bayanka but pakukambati mungaendekeze paka first 9 months mukaliboyanga. Ndiye question amene nakambati. Question imozi.
Oh, I thought bayanka through Matthew 1 verse 25.
Oh, so my boyanga according na lesson amene yende 9. So point was quite like apa mwaenda mu exact family planning.
Yes,
Yeah. So family planning chitani more shed light, which is the free days, which is the danger days. Oh. Okay. So point ina ngamene nifuna muchite more shed light pali egg and kupwanika kwa placenta. Aini. So so yamene ichita shed blood. It's the egg on placenta after shed, after cracking. Because ka egg kaja kachita ka release, but skanankare fetal because of that seed.
Yes,
So
okay.
it
Okay,
breaks
understood.
much understand your point. So manje chitani explain ini because once muchitanani kane mwamire mukambira ndiso vile tuzaget nyamo chako.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope you've understood on the luteal and follicular phase. You can check on the chart. The problem is that I don't have the bundles. You're supposed to check. Okay.
So, as I share, Muzaida check our last page here lesson, then you have this chart. So let me just share the lesson to all just now. So sorry for that.
Okay, so when you discover you remember that the question is asked, says what bleeds, huh? What bleeds? Is it the egg? Is it the cracking of the egg or the womb, what? Or the uterus? Remember, actually, it's even a logical question. You discover that the one that bleeds, it's not the egg, it's the what? It's the velvet lining, it's the endometrium. Because once the endometrium is what? Is broken, understand, then it begins to bleed. Okay? Then it is evacuating what was what? Inside the what? The womb, inside the uterus. The uterus is attached with the ligaments, okay? Then it has a velvet called endometrium. This chimashitaso, chipangaso. So this bag, it can break. So the breaking of the bag is the one that bleeds. But those that come from out, they don't bleed. Understand? Those that are inside, the eggs, they don't bleed. Okay, so those that they see them, that's the reason when they are seeing sometimes women, they may notice clothes. If you see big clothes in your thing, it means there are growths. Okay, if you are menstruating, then begin to see big clothes in meaning there are growths which we are trying to grow from inside. Okay, because the one that bleeds is the endometrium or the velvet lining. That was his question. Then let me go here, go back here. Let the part appear.
Just continue going back. Just back.
Okay.
Maybe just take it back. Again. Okay, again.
Tukutali, eh?
Next page, my command.
It's this same one.
Yes.
Okay. So we've established saying the manage is the onset of the first period usually occurs around the age of 12. Okay. So mana bamamba ma 12 years kushita attend. They begin to attend what it means to flower in the Bible. Flowering kutosa ma period, moment na ma periods. Menses. Okay, the menstrual cycle can cause some women to experience problems that disrupt daily lives. These can include cramps, the one I've discussed, cramps, breasts, what do you call, tender breasts, tiredness, and the premenstrual syndrome. Okay, more severe problems such as premenstrual dysphoric disorder are experienced by 3 to 8% of women. The menstrual cycle can be modified by hormonal birth control. Okay. So the ones that I mentioned here, the natural ones, I told you, say you should use fenugreek. Fenugreek, others, the one again I mentioned, I was trying to explain to you a certain woman that discovered saying the seed protocol, where she was giving seeds during the follicular phase from menses to ovulation. A person was taking even prime rose, flax seeds, and pumpkin seeds. The reason being is that in flax seeds, the flax seeds are high in what? Okay. Hello? Shani? Okay. Yes, the flax seeds. The flax seeds are high in omega-3. Just like even in primrose, they are high in omega-3 as well. Okay. So during that phase, the flax seeds also help to they are high in progesterone. That's what I wanted to say. The flax seeds and pumpkin seeds and the what do you call, even in primrose, they help the woman to balance the hormone during the time of estrogen dominance. Then after that is done, the follicular phase is done, then there's the luteal phase. Luteal phase, the dominance we know is progesterone. Then we know that the seeds that she uses is this one, the seed. Which seeds are high in estrogen seeds? The seeds which are high in estrogen? Sesame seeds. Okay, sesame seeds. That's the reason we advise people who have maybe issues to do with breast cancer to stop taking foods that are excess in estrogen. For instance, candolo, sweet potato, sesame seeds. You know that the candolo is high in what? In estrogen levels. Sweet potatoes are high in estrogen levels. So sesame seeds, yes.
You say they are high in oxygen. Isn't oxygen a hormone? So
Yes,
how
yes.
how is the plant, or let's say the food candle itself have the hormone oxygen in that sense? Or rather, would you say it has the nutrients required for production of the same hormone?
That's correct. Okay.
Than
So,
having that hormone?
okay, I understand. So, so what is asking, it says this is a clever understanding, because most of people, for instance, we lack this, those who do not understand nutrition. For instance, if you say this food has vitamin A, that's what it's asking, vitamin A. But vitamin A, you discover that it cannot be found in plants. It's found only in what? In the living, it's only found in human beings, the ones that have a liver, because vitamin A, it's made by the liver from the beta carotene. Okay, that's what it's asking. It's my mistake to say it's the same mistake that we usually make, saying vitamin A. This food, like carrots, have vitamin A. It's a mistake. What I meant is that the estrogen, high in estrogen, meaning there's a progestin, they call it progestin chemical, which is found in yes, what to say? Progestin is when progestin is taken, the body converts it into progesterone. For instance, what do you call yam? In yam, is high in progestin. When the body converts, when you take it, the body will convert it into progesterone. So the point is that the foods, like in sweet potatoes, there's a chemical that when you eat, the body will convert that chemical into what? Okay, into estrogen. We're talking of sweet potatoes. Yeah, sweet potatoes. So the body will convert it. You can even check it up on the net. You discover that the foods that are excess in, actually, even them, they make a mistake. They make the same silly mistake that I made, where it says foods that are excess in estrogen, they'll bring the same. They'll bring sweet potatoes, but what they mean is that there's a specific chemical. When you ingest, you eat potatoes, the body is going to convert that chemical into what? Into estrogen. So therefore, those people males who have breast chanchani, they'll tell them, or those that have cancer, breast cancer, they are told not to eat foods that have excess what? Estrogen. You understand? But my point wasn't that. My point was in the seed protocol. In the seed protocol, if you understand this, you have to balance, because the problem today is hormonal imbalance. So how do you balance the hormones? In the follicular phase, the time of the menstrual cycle, to the time of the ovulation, you should balance estrogen. How do you balance estrogen? Is by introducing what? Is by introducing progesterone. If you put a bit, just like the way you balance sodium, how do you balance sodium? You balance sodium with what? Potassium. Understand? That's how you balance. You don't remove sodium. No, you die. Just like you remember Ellen White, there's a time when she was told not to be taking salt. She was feeling weak. Okay, because she removed the sodium. Okay. Sodium is necessary, but how do you balance it? You put potassium. Also, likewise, how do you balance estrogen hormone? It's not to remove estrogen. You balance it with the progesterone. That's how you balance it. So how she understood, say she started balancing, she started putting foods, natural foods that will help balance estrogen, such as the flax seeds and the pumpkin seeds. Then in there, luteal phase, that is after ovulation to the time of menses, when progesterone is dominant, she introduced foods that are dominant in estrogen, or that have a chemical. When you eat, the body converts it into estrogen, which are what? Sesame seeds and sunflower seeds. That's how she treats. You can check it up, and it works. We helped those people who were not forming eggs with such a protocol. And she's been helping a lot of people using just that protocol. Very simple protocol. Okay.
So in a nutshell, like the question that Brother Nelson asked, the reason why we simply say that foods that are high, maybe in progesterone, is maybe not to confuse people by saying, so we just end at what is the chemical found in sweet potato again, bro?
No, the chemical in sweet potato, I don't really know it, but the one which is in flax seeds, you can say progestin.
Yeah, so instead of saying foods that are high in progestin are these, people will now be saying, what is this? So maybe just to bring it home to our attention, find that even science has just gone to say foods that are high in this is A, B, C, D, isn't it? When in actual sense, we know that what is actually produced is not, what is in the food is not the exact thing that is in the human body, but that for the human body to have a large quantity of that, they must eat those foods so that they produce it. I think maybe that's how, maybe that's how it should be.
Because today because you, like when you check family planning, contraceptives, today they're saying that these foods that have high progesterone, they don't work unless we convert it into the actual chemical hormone which is found in the body. That's when it works. Because them, what they are ingesting is the actual chemical, but us we don't want. We want nature. Then the body itself should make the hormones. So we don't take hormones when we are taking food. Okay. Yes. I finish first. You can come. You wanted to contribute? Okay, you can come.
So quite like pamene mwagwira pa point mwagwira ma the best way amene ninga eso kama that's why tifuni kuchita balance diet. Kuchita balance diet that's why mzapeza ati ani vokudya vina mzapeza ati vibwera mseason. Why vibwera mseason? But vena mzapeza ati tuchita chani tupikinga nombo kudya time amene sifunika kuchita chani kutaking. That's why body imaangana na season. That's why mzapeza ati each season yamene tungena body ichita convince muri icha season. Each season yamene inja body ichinja kachoka muri icha season itaninga another season. So ndemo amene ichita nine kan, but family planning point mozi amene na chita discover ni once ukankala na mimba kuli chemical imozi mu certain body amene imachita lili kunkala low polangiza ati this time sanga chite convert kunkala na futi na ina mimba ichita kwati ya imirika. So family planning ipolo kuchita convert kwati like ulina mimba already pakti ija chemical ichita chani freeze. That's why mzapeza ati by animals by this time. That's why family planning wanapangira ma animals. Wakalasa ng'ombe ichosa milk but si bad. Pakti wakwanise kuchita chani fulfill the own nation. Magalu, that is the same family planning. So after wachita discover that thing, waleta manje kubantu. That's why mzapeza ati the same chemical ija ndiye amene ichita produce also ma fibroids. Because placenta is vato nilikudana na chani na mwana mumala, but in actual sense ulibe. So the according na balancing diet.
For example, you were saying that the manjere tunabalasa vita breathing vipanga body vita pretend ngati na mimba when in actual sense so that ijamanje normal ovulation process it fails to come to mature because machani yao natoa there is no need. Did I get you clear?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We are really
Ndema many achitra explain na nankan because according na body imachita drop kaili kuli ma free in fact bakambati sogolo ndipo mimi tuzaichita more understanding lesson pamene tuenda kusogolo pamene ma chani inkala low meaning it pass along ikunkala high. So the family planning iboro controller a system kulangiza ati this is ifunika kunkala low by forcing. So mkuforcing aija motive kunkala low which means placenta ifunika konzerata mchani but in actual sense mudi.
Yeah, one question that
Yeah. Anyway, he's mentioned the laws. But the thing that you have to understand is that for instance, if you let me just try to attempt what he's saying. When a woman, when the hormone like progesterone is in excess, there's no way a woman can be pregnant. Okay, because the pass of her fertility stage is over. Okay, so if you give a woman progesterone, she cannot be pregnant. It's not possible. That's the reason in most of the contraceptives, the dominance is what they give is progesterone. You can, I'll show you those. We haven't yet gone there. I was to show you mother and child care, where I can show you the drugs and the chemicals which they would use. I can show you also the ingredients. So basically,
fully understand and appreciate in the sense that we are looking at these two hormones and their operations. The other one comes when the egg is about to be produced. That is
estrogen.
Estrogen, yes. And then it prepares the uterus to thicken. Okay, then we see that by, is it day 14? We have the egg, because from day 12 to 14, the egg is produced, yes. And then we see that progesterone again begins to be high. Okay, now that is what I want to understand. Because by progesterone being high, it shows that it is preparing that should fertilization happen, then the lining is okay. And then the lowering of progesterone, we are told to say it is a preparation for the removal of the unfertilized or that prepared place, okay, the embryo, as we have seen. Now, I just want to get it correct when we are saying that if you have high progesterone, you can't get pregnant.
Yes, correct.
Okay, yeah, that is the point I want to hear, because the connection, because here we are seeing that during the first half of the cycle, you have the increase in estrogen.
Then you can get pregnant.
You can get pregnant. Okay, then after it, you see the increase in
Yes.
progesterone. And then you'll be able to say that when again progesterone is increased, the woman will not release the embryo, everything that was prepared, the uterine lining which was thickened, it is still there, because we see that again the levels of the progesterone is high, but there is no release until the levels of progesterone starts to go lower. That's when now you see those are the ovulation, I mean menstruation beginning. So that's where I want to understand. Say,
and we'll go beyond the lesson. We're going to understand that one. Let me go direct now. Let me just be hammering the points. Okay. And the part which I have to correct that, but he has gone. When you check the pregnant test, you know, like a pregnant test here. What we check there is it's called human HCG, human chronic gonadotropin. That's what we check, the gonadotropin hormone. So if the gonadotropin hormone is elevated, the hormone that elevates during pregnancy is gonadotropin hormone. So if the elevation of gonadotropin hormone the elevation is high, kaja kama testing positive, kaja a pregnant test, kapanga 2 lines. Okay, or by taking a blood, was that checking a child? That's it. Or even in the time of her menses, in the time of her pregnancy, initially, those gonadotropin hormones, they begin to elevate your back. That's the indication that a woman is what? Yes, is pregnant, and she cannot have what do you call another, which cannot be pregnant. Okay, it's called that one is gonadotropin hormone. But in the family, what do you call, in the contraceptives, they don't use gonadotropin hormone. That's what I wanted to correct. They use progesterone. Okay, others they will mix progesterone with the testosterone. Testosterone is the hormone of what? Of a male. Okay, male. So they will mix. Yes. Yes, testosterone. So they will mix them. So that's what they use. Okay. That's the part which I wanted to correct. I hope you've understood it. Okay. Okay. So let me go direct to the point. You will read this on your own. Let me go to the biblical understanding of this. Yeah. So physiology of the uterus in a nutshell. So this is in basic and brief according to the biblical standard. The uterine menstrual cycle phases. So we see that the menstrual phase is 1 to 7 days. So the 7 days, menses last only for 7 days according to the Bible. Okay, that is the menstrual phase. Okay, I'm here. Here.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So the functioning layer is shed off during this time. Okay. Is shed off. Ovarian hormone are at their lowest. The ovarian hormone are at their lowest. Okay. Then by day 7 or end of menses, the growing ovarian follicle begins producing more estrogen. By day 7 or end of menses, the growing ovarian follicle begins producing more estrogen. Okay. Then we check proliferated phase, that is day 8 to 14, where the Bible calls it the purification phase, where the endometrium has to be built again. The endometrium. Remember that during the menses, day 1 up to day 7, the endometrium, the uterus was broken. Then day 8, the menses has to be built again. The menses has to be built again. So day 8 up to 14, takes a week. Remember that the menses take a what? It takes a week, the menses. Okay. Then day 8 up to 14 takes a week for the endometrium to be built. So that's the reason the Bible is strict. In the time when the uterus is being built, should you have intercourse? You know that on the net, others they say at a consideration of menses, you can meet, should not be what? Pregnant. But does the Bible allow that? No, because during the time of the proliferated phase, the time of the building of the uterus, you shouldn't, because even the window of her getting pregnant is slim, because they say that the seed stays 72 hours. Okay, I mean the ovum. The seed, that is the sperm, stays 72 hours in the what do you call it, the vagina or the uterus, okay, in the human body. So if now, because in the proliferated phase takes 7 days, but that does not mean ovulation. It will wait up to proliferated phase is over. Ovulation happens, what do you call, that is the between that is after 3 days, between a week. After 3 days of proliferation, a woman should begin to see that she has started ovulating. So imagine that after she's done her menses, then 2 days later, then you meet her, because they say a week after menses, then a week, this week is you can do it. Okay, then you do it. Then at the time when now, because the sperm will stay there for how many days? 3 days. Then ovulation happens on day 4. The egg is going to meet the what? The sperm is going to meet the seed. Then she'll be pregnant. Most of the women saying, I tried this, but it did not happen. I got pregnant. That's what they say. Okay. That's the reason we should adhere to the Bible advice. Okay, because the Bible is going to tell us. So proliferated phase, okay, is that it takes 1 week. From day 8 up to 14 takes a week. So what happens during this time? The endometrium is rebuilt, or it rebuilds itself. The endometrium or velvet lining is rebuilt. Okay. Then estrogen causes this the cervical mucus to thin out. Okay, to thin out. Then ovulation is going to do what? Okay, is going to happen. Then secretory, that is post-ovulatory phase. Post-ovulatory phase. Preparation for implantation. Progesterone causes the proliferation of the blood vessels and the production of nutrients for the development of the embryo. Progesterone causes the cervical mucus to thicken. If fertilization does not occur, menstruation cycle begins again. Okay, that is in the post-ovulation phase, ovulatory phase. Post means after, understand? Secretory ovulatory phase. That is after ovulation. Okay. Then fetal, a woman ovary must release healthy eggs, that is regularly. Then an ovulation failure to release an egg. These are just terms which you have to understand. Then now, all this which we are talking, is it based by the Bible? So this is what is going to begin to read now. Let us now begin to read it from the Bible standpoint. Okay. Okay, so menses, family planning in the Bible, menses. So where does the Bible say that menses should last for 7 days? Leviticus 15, verse 19.
Leviticus 15, verse 19, the Bible says, and if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the even.
Okay.
19.
So this one is self-explanatory. It is 7 days. She has the issue of blood, that is the menses. Okay. She has the issue of blood, and she should be put apart 7 solid days. And whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the even.
Yes, maybe some qualifications there, Brother Tiga. When the Bible is just saying touching her, let us understand. Does it mean when she's seated, you come close to her, or the touching means sleeping with her?
Okay. You see now? So we should, because the Bible in what is this? Is it in Romans says, concerning to the things that you wrote to me, it is not good for a man to touch a woman. That is Romans chapter what? Huh? What is it? Romans chapter what? It's not good for a man not to touch a woman. It's Romans chapter what? Chapter what? It's chapter 7. Correct. Yeah, correct. Okay. You see, in that context, it means what? Okay. You see in there. So, okay. Okay, you can just be reading, you know.
It says, and also, Leviticus 15:21 says, and whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes and bath himself in water and be unclean until the even. 22. Yeah, toucheth her bed. So that's where, guys, that's what I'm saying. That the Bible is just saying touching. Now, what is that touch? That's my question.
Okay. But so the only way we can do private, we can say, we can link it to the same Romans. The touching which is in Romans, maybe basically speaks the same. But my point in this verse was to show you that the message should last for 7 days. So if the touching now, understanding the touching, it could be sexual.
Okay. And whosoever toucheth anything that he sat upon shall wash his clothes and bath himself in water and be unclean until the even. And if it be on her bed, or anything whereon she sitteth, when he toucheth it, he shall be unclean until the even. And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days. And all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean.
Okay.
So yeah, now
So it clarifies, says the physical touching, and also, you know, it also causes the flowering. You see, the flowering, okay, it's biblical, you see now. So her flowers, you lie with her, the menses or the flowers be on you, you'll be unclean 7 days. Okay, so you know, even the term for flowering, it shows that a woman, she can have a child if if you see what is this? A plant flowering, it means that it is what? It is health, eh? Also a woman, when you see a woman flowering, it means she's health. Okay, verse 25. Verse 25, it is discussing prolonged menses. Prolonged menses or menarche in the Bible. Now, if it happens that she surpasses the 7 days, the 7 natural days of her menses, okay, what happens? You can read verse 25.
says, and if issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean.
Okay. So abnormal is more than 7 days, so she'll be unclean. Just like, for instance, that woman who had the issue of blood, meaning she had you know that there's this condition. After they call it, others they call it what do you call cervical cancer. A woman, prolonged menses of a woman is associated with cervical cancer. Okay, then they will check for human papillomavirus. But the signs is that she should do a woman, if she sees herself bleeding prolonged, if the bleeding is prolonged, she has to check herself if she has human papillomavirus, if she has cervical cancer. Okay. And we see it in the Bible where a woman had the issue of blood for 12 years, then Christ helped her. Okay, we know she touched the helm of his garment.
Okay, so yeah.
Yes.
This is I don't know how deep your lesson will go concerning these things that we have read in Leviticus. Concerning the uncleanness of the woman for those 7 days, which the chart was showing us that it is from the day 1 of menstruation to the 7th day of menstruation, she will be unclean. And then we are told to say, where she sits, we touch that place, we are unclean. Okay. Now we have one bed. Most of us. What happens there? Because it is the Bible. Because remember, we are saying these are statutory laws. They were not nailed to the cross. Hence, the women still continue with the normal periods of or the ovarian cycle, as we have seen, or menstruation cycle. So his creation has cancer. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know how far that one goes. Whether we are going now to go deeper, because we are learning to now begin to reform.
Yes, because remember that is symbolical. Did you go there to check on sleep? That called.
That one you sent me.
No. There's a page. Remember that page? Sister Olivia's talked of the 2 beds, 2 separate beds.
Yes. That's the more reason why if you heard my question, I was saying, how deep does your lesson go? If it takes us there, so that now we don't just
that one will go to another lesson.
Oh.
Because there's another lesson where you are learning sexuality of the Bible, which is the Song of Solomon. It's the one that discusses more of separate beds. But this one is basically wants to see, you remember, if you see the points, it's covered. The point here was not really to discuss the the uncleanness, but to show you saying that 7 days is a normal. Then in case of menorrhagia, meaning prolonged menses, we see that it's there in the Bible, that abnormal. Yes. Okay. Then
Yeah, no wonder why I was asking, because I was looking at it to say, if we just end there, we will not help ourselves. Say, okay, we have known that she's unclean, we shouldn't touch her, but does it end there? So we see that, okay, now what additional information should we have so that eventually now we know that, oh, okay, this 7 days is normal. And within 7 days, like, I love it, like with the way we have done to say, other women will boast that, for me, I just do it 3 days. We have known that that is not normal. They should be helped by being given. You gave us the options to say, let them take the phenol, yes, and it will help to bring it to the normal. So on that one, we are okay. Now here the Bible has told us that you touch her, you'll be unclean. Yeah. Now we share the same bed sheets, we share the same blankets. So I thought maybe we do well also there, maybe to go a bit deeper. I know maybe it may not be part of your lesson, but since Sister Olivia is here, she can come back with the quote from the symbolic quote, so that now we read to say, in line with what we have read now, this quote now comes in handy to help, or maybe Brother Chivale here will be adding something to that. Thank you.
actually,
Thank you, Arida. Mukangana pali lesson, but chinga wame bagwira kuri the same part ya menema bagwira, because I lesson kudala na mukazi senzo chita meet into the church for 7 days. But by this time, wabwera but kwa inda chita chani, much understand your point there. So in the ceremonial law, wezo ikonka safunika ku chita meet to the church first as it is read first for 7 days outside. So mkangana after a New Testament coming, kwenza lipe kuma disciples your part, but tukuchita meet yeve na Saturday. So mfuniko chita meet in the period of for 7 days. Yeve kuma New Testament siwana chiteko touch. So concerning kuhewa, yeve itu uzati, it is a dirty thing for 7 days. But according to Bible, manje is that pasa yeve ikamba concerning to have 2 beds, like mukagwira ko kuri yo part. Ni okay, it is in many ways than ku kalana 1 bed. Ikamba more but 2 beds because it helps more. Then is a bambi.
okay. Let me just touch that quote in the. May I can recite, but let me check. I can check it. You just go in the same quote. Remember that time I said saying the one that discusses what you call the long hair and what in the what is this? Corinthians. Remember that one? Huh? That same quote in the symbolic code says it's shame for a man to think it's the same one. Then in the same code it will discuss sleep. So I can check sleep in there. The one that talks of sleep now. Okay, just say sleep. Oh. Okay, so the proliferated phase, according to the Bible, proliferated meaning the beating of the endometrium or the velvet lining of the uterus, beating it again. that is proliferated phase according to the Bible. So you can read Leviticus 15 verse 28. Leviticus 15 verse 28. You've seen there? It says, but if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. It should last 7 days. You see, no? Should last 7 days. But if she be cleansed of her issue, that is her menses is done. Okay? Her menses is done. Then she shall number 7 days to herself. Okay? And after that she shall be clean. She shall be clean. So this is called proliferated phase according to science, but in the Bible it's called purification phase. She should number, after menses is done, she should number 7 days. Then after that, then that's when she will be declared clean. Okay, that's according to this. You've seen, huh? Yeah, flow period mwachita 7 days. Then muzadi ngako 7 days. Your 7 days hiyo muzankala and clean for that 7 days. Okay, so meaning you can't meet the 7 days. Okay, then after that 7 days is done, that's when what? You'll be clean. Nishi chibaliro chapangiwa, mulungu achipanga chibaliro. The endometrium is built again. Okay, ipamozi ankara 14 days. Then pa 14 days ndipo alimuona manje ati ovulation ndipo ameneisha zani irangiwa kuti ati apa manje ungapa ikasira yochapi menses yasira 1 week. Then 1 week inangwa yasira ya purification yo building a endometrium. Then since chibaliro chapangiwa, then now ilangiza kuti ati mu chibaliro mungankale mwana. Then my egg ya satani ya dropping iwa. God drops the egg. Okay, that is ovulation. The egg is dropped on day 14. Understand now? This one is just talking in terms of health, though. Okay, can you?
Okay. One symbolic code, number 15, page 2, paragraph 7, says, no 2 persons should sleep in one bed except it be an emergency. Those who neglect this health principle are sowing seeds of sorrow instead of seeds of health and happiness. One symbolic code, number 15, page 2, paragraph 7.
Okay, so you've gotten this point, huh? Have you gotten this one? The 7 days after menses. Okay, so 7 days menses or flowering. After flowering is done, then you should add 7 days. Okay, that is time for building the endometrium, velvet lining of the uterus, proliferated phase. Okay, kuti chibaliro chipangiwe. Okay, then after that, then you'll be declared clean. Then your womb can be what? The womb is ready for the child. Okay, for the what you call implantation of the child there. The womb is ready. Is ready. Okay, that's according to the Bible. These are Bible verses. Then now let us discuss ovulation. Okay, that is wait fertile days. So fertile days lasts from 14 to 21. So day 14, we discover that the egg is dropped. Okay, the egg is dropped. But I told you earlier saying that since the sperm can last 72 muchan, so you have to be cautious. You should not dare meet in the time of period what? purification, time of meeting your attendant, because she's going to be pregnant. Okay, then you discover that now, where does the Bible say ovulation? Okay, which example do we see from the Bible? Ovulation lasts 7 days. Also, ovulation lasts for how many days? Madeza mkazi kale na mimba ya lasting 7 days na hivi. Okay, science muona ankala maningi na white visitor so. Okay, she begins to see them coming out. Okay, that is a sign. That is a sign that you can mute yourself. Okay. So you'll see that. So there's an example in the Bible when, okay, let us just read it. 2 Samuel, 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 4 to 5. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 4 to 5, the Bible records. How does the Bible say?
Okay, the Bible says, and David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and she lay with her, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. Verse 5, and the woman conceived, and sent and told David, and said, I am with child.
You've seen here, when you connect that verse, remember that verse, when you connect this verse, verse 28 of Leviticus 15, discover that the cleanses takes for how many days? 7 days. Then here, it will tell saying that when David saw the nakedness of Bathsheba, then he went to sleep with her. It was after she was what? Purified from her uncleanness. Meaning, as then she was declared clean. Eh? Doesn't Samuel? Okay, so meaning, so that's the reason she was able to get what? Pregnant, because her purification was done what? Was over. And David, the time when he met Bathsheba, cleansed, okay, after the purification was over, then she conceived and sent to David and said, I am with thee, child. You understand this? So it shows you saying the time when a woman can be pregnant is in the time of, even science confirms, saying the fertile days is after what? Is per day 14. How could that same? Okay, then it lasts for 7 days. At it? Okay, 4 and 5. So this one shows you the safe days. I mean, sorry, shows you that the days which are not safe, I don't know why we call it safe days. It shows you that the days which are not safe for you to meet a woman if you do not want her to be pregnant. If you want her to be pregnant, you should utilize this time. 7 days. It takes 7 days. You should make sure that you utilize what? This time. Because once you meet, she'll be done what? She'll be pregnant. Okay, but if we do not know, there are those women, there are those people that are struggling to have a child, yet maybe they don't know this. They should utilize, they should know this. Sometimes your hormones are okay. Also, the sperm, the value of the sperm of a man is okay, everything, the liquefying time, everything, the quality of the sperm or sperm volume is okay. They check, but they are struggling to have a child. Maybe you're missing, yes, maybe they're missing the target. Okay, they're missing the time and the target. Huh? Okay, so they should understand this as well. So safe days, we check, it takes also 1 week. You have to understand safe days. All of them, they take one. It's one week. So the safe days, which are called dry days, the woman again, she will notice on herself. She'll begin to see herself being dry. In the time of the fertile ovulation, she was wet. When she begins to notice that upper here, she's beginning to be dry, these are indicating that she's going into her safe days, dry days. Okay, that is day 22 to 31. Okay. She can't get pregnant in the dry days. Okay, there's no Bible reference to indicate this. Okay, so let us go. This one we've already read it. Now, after pregnancy, this is the discussion. After pregnancy, you remember the question now, which the one who asked, is it Mr. Who? Yes, and your question is answered here. After pregnancy, Leviticus has an answer. Leviticus chapter 12, verse 2 to 5. It has an answer. Yes. Leviticus 12, verse 2 to 5.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation for her infirmity, shall she be unclean. Verse 3. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. Verse 4. And she shall then continue in the blood of her purification 3 and 30 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary, until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. But if she bear a maid child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 66 days. That is verse 5. Yes, I continue.
So when you marry these two verses, you marry when you marry these two scriptures, Matthew chapter 1, verse 25, and the Leviticus chapter 12, you see how long you should not meet a what? You should not meet a woman from the time you impregnate her up to the time she delivers. You understand? Eh? Okay, because in verse 2, what do you call? In verse 2, it tells you saying that if a woman she conceived, now she was pregnant. Remember that pregnant you should not meet her. Okay, now she conceives. Where does it say in pregnant you should not meet her? The example, we saw it in what? In Matthew chapter 1, verse 24, and also the direct quote, we saw it in Solomon Pew, page 95. Okay, saying that it robs the woman, it robs the babe of its nutrient. Now, you've put the what? The seed. Okay, then the seed, it is been what do you call? It started growing. That seed is a child. It's fertilized. Then the time for her to give a child to deliver, we see that of course the pregnancy takes 9 months. 9 months. So you can add 9 months. Then this woman, now she's conceived. If a woman have conceived a seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. She shall be unclean. Where is it? She shall be unclean. Where is it? Where am I? She shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation for her infirmity. She shall be unclean. And in the eighth day, you can read it from there. You can read it from there. Am I reading the correct one?
Leviticus chapter 12.
Okay, I think I'm reading the correct one.
Yes. Say, okay, let me start from verse 2. It says, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived the seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, because you want to calculate the days.
Yes.
So from the day that she gives birth, a baby boy, she is unclean 7 days. Then says, according to the days of the separation for her infirmity, she shall be unclean. Verse 3, and in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised.
So this tells you exactly when you should circumcise your what?
It's out.
It's out. Day what?
8.
Okay.
And then verse 4 says, and she shall then continue in the blood of her purification 3 and 30 days. So you have in total there'll be 40 plus 1 or the 8th day of circumcision. Or does it continue on the 8th day? I don't know.
No. It says on the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised.
Oh.
So you discover that even Christ followed this. Remember that Christ when he received child dedication, when did Christ receive child dedication from Simeon? It was 8th. Yeah. Is it? Am I correct now?
Yeah, let's see.
Huh? No, circumcised on what? Then it was on 8th day. Okay. Then after when it was now, it was day 40 according to the law. Remember, after 40 days. So which one is the one that I want? Okay. Remember, it says according to the law, after 40 days, Jesus was, you know, if he was taken to Simeon.
When Simeon says, I waited for this day.
And she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 3 and 30 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary sin. So it was it wasn't on the 8th day. It was on after 40 days. Okay, that's when until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. That's the new chapter. Okay? No, circumcision, yes, Christ is on what? Me, I was asking when Christ was taken to Simeon, when he appeared to the sanctuary, to Simeon, was it not after 40 days? According to, remember, DA, Desire of Virgins. Okay? It says, okay. Or just check Simeon. Simeon. Are you there? Oh, you're in the Bible. Okay. So it was after, according to this, to fulfill this, Christ was supposed to appear to the sanctuary after what? 40 days. That is verse 4. Because it says, and she shall then continue in the blood of purifying 3 and 30 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary, until the days of her purifying be what? Fulfilled. So Mary was to wait. Plus the 7 days. You've understood? 3 and 10 plus the 7 days. What? Vile wafika upebe. So nizo plus the 7 days zili pamoja. So pamoja panga 40. I think it says the same when you go in DA. Deserve ages.
I checked for Simeon deserve ages.
Yes, you see it.
Okay, I wanted to.
In the Bible doesn't say.
The number.
Okay. Then now, what happens if now you bear a mate child, or a female, a girl child? What happens? So the days they are lengthened. It says, but if she, remember, if you bear, let me discuss this more on a boy child. When they bear a boy child, you know that at least the time also for the what? For what is this? They call it the code. The umbilical cord falling, it will take according to your menses. You understand that? For it to fall, to abort. It aborts, it falls. It aborts. the kaja kamchombo to your boats according to your menses. And again, you will be built. The womb will be built according to what? Okay, according to your what? To your menstrual cycle. Let me repeat. The kamchombo kaja kazagwa, it will abort or fall according to your menses. Menses is not menstrual cycle. Menses is the time you're attending period. Okay, so if you're attending period 4 days, when I'm going to after 4 days, then if you're attending 7 days, kazago after 7 days. Okay, kaja kamchombo, it falls after 7 days. Then your bleeding, woman bleeds after she's done what? From the time she sees the first stage of labor, she begins to see the what? Then she begins the second stage of labor. She begins to see the month, okay, water breaking, up to the time, what you call, up to the time man, it will take, let me see, up to the time man, how can I say it? Up to the how long her menses, her menstrual cycle lasts. Yes, up to how long her menstrual cycle lasts. For instance, if your menstrual cycle is 28 days, you stop bleeding after 28 days. If your menstrual cycle, others the menstrual cycle takes 38 what? I'm sorry, 31 days, others 32. Yes, others 28. It will last that long. Then that's when you're going to see yourself waleka kuchusa vitani vija vi blood, waleka kuchosa vi blood, waleka olovija vovasina olovasini kulibe fermentation de chani vi blood waleka kuchoka. Okay, then after that, here it will tell you saying that even they know that it takes 4 sons, even confirms it will take 4 to 8 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks or 6 weeks. You should not meet your wife. It confirms on that one. Even these people that do not know the Bible, they know. Okay, they'll even tell you, those that way go to antenatal, right? Amapunzisani kutati mukasichani pajamabala, you wait for how long? For 4 to 6 weeks. Do not meet your what? Do not start sexual intercourse. Don't. Okay.
Child dedication is at 40 days.
Okay, 40 days.
Yes, for the male child. So, according to Desire of Ages, page 50, paragraph 1 says, about 40 days after the birth of Christ, Joseph and Mary took him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord and to offer sacrifice. This was according to the Jewish law, and as man's substitute, Christ must conform to the law in every particular. So the dedication was 40 days. So child dedication should be 40 days from birth. That is male child. I don't know if
Yes.
everyone.
No, a girl child is different.
Yeah.
A girl child that we are going to discover is after what? You're going to see is after. I won't mention. The Bible has to say it. Okay, it's different from a girl. From a male child. I was just explaining the male child phase and the umbilical cord. Then the girl child is totally different. You're going to see after pregnancy. Okay, you can read there for the girl child. That's verse 5. You read it again.
Yeah, verse 5. It says that, but if she bear a male child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purification threescore and 6 days.
So you've understood, saying, at if she bear a male child, so her, you understand,
The
is
same
2
chapter
weeks.
we are reading, chapter 2. Now we are reading this 5.
You understand, is that? At how many is that? 2 weeks? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Shall be unclean.
That is 40.
But of a boy child, a male child, it was how long?
7 days.
It was only 1 week, 7 days. But a girl child is 2 weeks. Okay. Then her here says, and in her separation shall continue in the blood of her purifying. So she can even bleed in her purifying for how long?
3, 4, and 6 days. 6 days.
So 66, because 3 score, a score is what? 20. So 3 score is what? 60. 66 plus 14 days. 8 days. So 80. Yes, a child, the girl child can be dedicated. You've understood.
So it is twice as much in every.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. That's why I was saying that you need to.
Just from the
Yeah. Actually, the truth is, the times that we actually dedicate our children are all wrong. We just actually come up with the day, oh, my own child dedication. Verse 1 or 5 years, written. Okay, I know some pastors, the scripture they quote is where Jesus was, they brought those children. So that one is okay. But the significant one from, if you want to follow from birth, it is this that the book of Leviticus is offering.
Because even those children, were they babies? It's the same verse.
No, the ones that Jesus said were not babies.
The ones he was blessing. Okay, so then Luke 2 verse 19 to 23 says, but Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. And the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things that they had heard and seen, as it was told unto them. And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, that is Jesus, Jesus also was circumcised on what? 8th day. His name was called Jesus, which was, so even the naming is after circumcision. That's what I'm getting. His name was called Jesus. I don't know. But you know, you can name a child name. His name was called Jesus, which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb. So even the angel called named Jesus before he was conceived. And when the days of our purification according to the law of Moses was accomplished, according to the law of Moses was accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. Okay. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. As it is written, verse 23. That is Luke. But where is it? That is Luke 2.
Verse 19.
Okay, as it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord.
Maybe a question there. Very wonderful that the Bible is saying every male. What if the one who openeth the womb is a female? What happens? You wait until a male is born? Okay.
As it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. I know you understand it. This has been, you remember that this was breached, but it has always been the case. For instance, the reason why God needed to bless Reuben, not the other not Joseph, or the reason why God blessed Joseph, because Joseph is the one that opened the womb of this one. What's the name? Rachel. It's because of the same. And Joseph is the one that opened the womb. Not that this verse is not discussing that a male sleeping is discussed. Let me read it. As it is written, the law of the Lord, every male that openeth a womb shall be called holy to the Lord. So the male which was in the womb of Mary was Jesus. So she was that male was to the Lord.
So now I was following now the interesting one on the part of Jacob. Jacob had 4 women.
Yes.
That each one of them had.
So the first child, remember the first
child was
child
Reuben.
yes, Reuben. Yes, Reuben was the one who was supposed to receive the blessing, but because he defaulted the bed, he slept with is it Bilhah or Zilpah?
Yeah.
Zilpah. Then because of that, Jacob said, "Okay, I'll follow the first child, who should be holy to the Lord." He followed who? He followed the firstborn child, that is Joseph, who was the firstborn child of who? Rachel. Yes, that's the reason Joseph was picked. And also it's supposed to be the case, but this also was breached. Remember that it was breached due to I don't know if it's because of sin, because God, according to all the priests were supposed to come from the first what? The firstborn, but this was breached because of the law.
Yeah, so like
But I don't.
For a reason, and you have answered well that the blessings or the holiness was transferred to Joseph. Yeah, and Joseph being the firstborn of Rachel. And so we see that it couldn't go to Leah's second son after Reuben. That should be able to receive that blessing. Now, my point is, since God had given them the opportunity to man to say he should just marry one wife, and then Jacob had 4. Yeah, so what do we say about that one? Because you'll be able to see that in the natural sense, we should all have one wife. And then you see Jacob having, of course, we know he was tricked. The one he wanted was actually Rachel. But by virtue of what happened, the traditions of Laban did not allow that a younger sister can marry before the elder. And so he was forced to work another 7 years. Of course, he waited 7 days to end. Then he was told to say, you can also get Rachel, who you work again for 14 years. So the first one, he worked 7 years to receive. The second one, he waited 7 days and received and worked 7 years. Yeah. Now, in the process, drama happened in the home, in the sense that when Rachel was not conceiving, she brought the handmaid, and she was happy when the handmaid had a child. Then the first wife also saw that, I've stopped. She also pushed in the handmaid, and that's how Jacob ended up having all those 4 women and bringing that. But of course, we understand that the very interesting aspect is what God brings out in the message of the shepherds concerning those women. Say it was just a way of God showing us how the 144,000 will be gathered from. Yes, that is the practical lesson that we get there. But my point is, since we see that the first to open the womb is the one that should be able to be called holy, and then we see that it was transferred from the line of Leah to Rachel, who was the second wife. And so that's where I was like, when you look at that transfer, it means therefore that God had sanctioned that kind of marriage arrangement of Jacob, right? Of having 4 women.
No, because
or it was just Jacob's decision to say, no, I'll take it now to Rachel, but the Bible doesn't.
Because if we discuss this polygamy in the Bible, though I think that's where your question is. You, though I did not prepare that, but I remember that the bundle of quotes which council forbids polygamy, because the that one is just showing. Because remember that there are a lot of things that God breached when I begin to list the breaching of what, or there are a lot of things that God repented of or violated. Let me say violated, because others they are scared to say that God did. Because the law, like for instance, the law of this same law, the law of him picking the firstborn, the law of picking the firstborn, God he violated in showing that the Levites were picked.
Okay, maybe that's where we need to clarification. Is it God who violated? Remember that why it was changed? It was the Israelites who had deceived themselves. Because the Levites were the only ones who were found not to have participated in the worship of the what? The calf.
The reason why I'm saying he did, not remember the Bible says that God he can change his mind, he repents. That's like remember the time of Moses made God to change his mind of and the reason I'm saying that not violation in sin, no, but changing his mind. God he did because his law he placed them saying that the reason, like this law, the one we read, saying he has to pick the firstborn child, okay, and of the legit wife, okay, the legit wife. But what happened is that from Levi, the reason why he picked Levi is because of the fidelity, okay. Then he has to come. He has to come back. Remember that he has to come back, even in the kingdom. He has to revisit that or even in the new earth, he has to revisit, he has to come back to his original plan. Just like the story, the one you've brought, God was pushed, compelled to, since Reuben, he was not a good person, and what he did was bad. So God was compelled to pick, okay, through Jacob, to pick Joseph. Okay, just like the way God, you understand what I'm trying to say? Just like the way God was compelled to pick David to become king, but that was not his ideal. This does not mean that God tolerates. Then when it comes to the issue, of what do you call polygamy, council, Ellen, when she comes in, she says, if God tolerated polygamy, he was to create two wives for Adam. But the reason why he created only one woman for Adam, it means that God is against polygamy. Then there are a lot of course that started coming when you read in the Czech Council talking about polygamy. Thank you. So that's a bundle wagon of them. So in short, council and the Bible is forbids polygamy, but sometimes there are conditions or consequential conditions which happened like Jacob. It happened that he had two wives and two concubines. Then at the end, it will be providential that God is going to pick the what? The 144,000 from all these four. Okay, just like also easy. Remember what is the name of this one? Hagar and what? Hagar and the yes. Hagar and the Sarah. Yes. Abraham had the two. Okay, also God, but that does not mean that God is for that. It's against polygamy. Okay. In short, God is against polygamy. That's what I'm trying to say. Hope that is yes. because on that particular period, remember also even the blessing did not even really go to, it was put on the pause on Joseph. Joseph refused, saying, okay, I will not receive this blessing, I'll receive them later. Bless my children. And again, God, what does it do? He makes him to bless, to put Israel on the first, he places Israel on the two sons, but he exalts the younger son of Joseph. You see, then it says this one will be, okay, there will be more than, yes, yes, but the same people, remember that in Ezekiel 37, it says they are going to take back the same blessing which was supposed to be on Joseph back to the father in the kingdom. They are going to appreciate the father. Yes, you can.
I have a question. What happens to the body system, like when you give birth, after you finish the cleansing of the blood of the after birth? The others, when they give birth to a child, after 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, they bleed, cleaning the body. After cleaning that blood, others, they'll stay maybe for 9 months without any periods. Or others, until they stop breastfeeding. So what happens?
Okay, yeah, there are people who are like that. I do not have any sons on that one, but there are people who are blessed like that. That they don't, they will not, what do you call, they'll stop attending. How many the menses go after they deliver a child, they have a child in the time of lactation. As long as they're still lactating, they are still breastfeeding, they'll stop attending, meaning they have the natural family planning in them during the time of the child. Yes, because them is they don't need, because such women, remember that if for them there's no need for them to be others, those that like the manipulative matter. Because if you are not like that, you are not among the blessed women who are like that. You're among them. Okay. If you're not among them, you discover that after 40 days, the one who read, you have to run for Chan, Nyereti. Okay. But if you are blessed, you discover that you stay. You stay. They're not there. Hey, there'll be nothing like that. So you are among the blessed, but that does not mean that there are those who they are not there. I mean, that does not mean that those who what you call attend after 40 days are not there. They are there, okay, and we should appreciate them. But you are among the blessed people. Okay, thank you. Yes.
So concerning what body question ya mene wenzi wafunsa, healthy yeso kamba panangu ni Bible kamba sometimes umufuniko okopera ku nature. Nzapasa example pali nkuku. Nkuku ngaidi natubana. Msayibare nkuku sinyo shine. But ngaidi natubana. Mukombo angapishe, angachite pamena funo chita, but nkuku sizambo hiki. Because his body ilangiza tilinatani natuma babies. So it's same like a man. So mkaenda mudi science zami uzanati, mkazi nganyonsha is one of family planning. Ngamunyonsha chape mani body ichita react sanga nkarina. Because ilangizati akaria chitashani adina something in the body. So mkaborera mu science because yavo kudevamene tukuja. That's why mzapeza timanje tunambotenga machani yo siyana. Vena nguni ya 3 months, vena nguni 8 months, vena nguni 12 months. Vena nguni depend na mwana pamene wamusira kuchita kunyosha. Vena ngu ayamba chape pamene pajasiri za chape 40 days. Ayamba kuchita period because yachani vokudya. So my system according na vokudya vamene taking it change according na health.
Okay, so any more questions and the contributions? Yeah, this is 12:33. I hope the questions were answered, all of them that were asked. I hope.
If you have any questions. Okay. Yes, Walid.
Khalid, I've got a question on, I think it's stemming from Leviticus 15, the same one that we've been reading.
Leviticus
15 verses 28.
Mhm.
So the question is on the unclean part, or maybe I say uncleanness. Is it something that we are able to explain? Like, I know to a believer it is very easy to understand, even when we say if the woman is just from maybe finishing the periods, then 7 days she's unclean. But is it something that we are able to explain to someone who may not be part of us, like to say how clean or what's the uncleanness, or maybe what makes this woman to be unclean even after periods? Thank you. Then maybe you can help me to understand that one. That's when maybe we can go to Leviticus 12. Also have a similar question.
Okay. So you are asking, your question is based on 28. 28, that is the proliferated phase. You know, if in our discussion, we are synchronizing this with the science that we know. In the science, is quite proliferated phase. In scientific way of explaining that is because the endometrium chibaliro chinaphwanyika, chibaliro ichi chinaphwanyika. Okay, so ichi chibaliro chinaphwanyika ichi chifunika kupangiwa chitenga 7 days kuti chibaliro chibwerere mu normal. Okay, any learned person understands that. Okay, even scientifically, that chibaliro, and that is there in their syllabus saying this, how long the chibaliro takes for it to be built again. It's called proliferated phase. You can check it up in science. Okay, it's confirmed in there. Okay, so if a person doesn't understand or doesn't believe in the Bible, still more if they did science, they understand saying there's a phase called proliferated phase. Okay, the only difference is that these people what do you call the world, they'll compare you, because what they've brought now is that they've brought you saying that you can even meet during the time of menses. Okay, they don't regard the issue of their yes.
They say that that's what they will say. That they don't care. You see?
So you've understood. So you've seen now. So if the people now, they've come with their culture, I don't know, whatever, with their demonic understanding, where they bring the issue of, because olden time culture was teaching us not to meet, even up to date, especially members teach that don't touch your woman, or you should not meet when she's what? Attending. Because uzadora chifua sira chao ndemo manje hapa manje. The problem is that these people, because of sex, they started saying kuchita every day kulipe upasa chance o time yama message kuchita time ya sira yama message ni kuchita vilibe nchito hiyo. Okay, that's the problem. So the problem is is not the only explanation, Brother Christopher. The problem is us, the people, because of our lust. Okay. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, so in short, the uncleanness, we are saying the body is not okay.
Yes, it's not okay. It's not in its place because the endometrium is not a beauty. Sinapangiwe mu chibaliro. So you watch it. That's the reason you remember that there's what you call. If I go in science, deep in science, discover that it will also cause uterus prolapse. It will also cause what you call endometriosis. Uterus prolapse. Sometimes chibaliro chimambo kufeni chimambo kugwa so chibaliro. Okay, kuli bakazi amadabwa chibaliro chinachoka chinambo kugwa. Okay, futi kuna kumakhaladi ichi chane vija vamu chibaliro vambopezeka kunja kwa chibaliro. That is endometriosis. Amodoro matenda ya so. Okay, so kuma matenda manja za yazabwera kuli mukazi anda ya matenda ya paka manja ndaba endometriosis anthu adora musana adora chani mutu. Okay, benango chibaliro benango bana wiki chibaliro chifasana ipase chance chibaliro kupangiwa udaba chibaliro chinankhala wiki munhu akankhala na mimba mwana achoka akankhala na miscarriages tapa in cinema kwaniso mimba udaba yamachoka 3 months 4 months. Okay, she has miscarriages because of not following this. This is basically science. You've understood, man?
Yes, it is clear.
Okay. Another question.
So another question again, I think it's in the same form where we are looking at the woman being unclean during that time, and that they should not share the bed with another person. So I wanted to ask the same, to say, okay, is it the uncleanliness part? Is it something that we are able to explain, to say why the person should not share the bed with another person, even after maybe during that period she takes a bath, maybe she does all that sanitary precautions?
Hiyo yanga napo pili hiyo tutaberenga utatu hiyo ni physical hiyo first unaona flat touching. The touching is maybe means sex, but when you read it down you discover that the touching does not only mean sex, it also means the physical touching even per bed. Okay, so if that is so, then we should let it the way it is. Okay, now the problem is that we are now beginning to overlook it, because even in the tradition, remember that last time also we looked at the law of sperm. We saw also the sperm saying that even in tradition this is embedded, or we cannot see it in science. This in tradition is embedded, saying that we should not begin to meet or sperm to meet when mwana ni mwani ni mng'ono tikambati mwana sozakula tani sozakula bwino. Bible naeve ikuza so, but explanation, scientific explanation, do we have? We don't really have. Okay, even the issue of what do you call the message saying if she's attending then we touch her. Scientific explanation, do we have? We don't have, but that's what the statutory law has stated. Okay, they stated just that way. So spiritually, because these that are spirit, these mangas, they know that they can use. Because if I go spiritually, I can explain. Because they say the moon, they use the blood. Because the witchcraft, they use the menses. That's the reason women are forbidden to throw their parts anyhow. Okay, because there's a spiritual significance when it comes to the power. They call it the power of the moon is found in her menses. Okay, that's where power is concentrated. So if a witch wants to have concentrated power, much power, okay, from you, she should get She'll use your what? She'll use your menses, and she can even close down your womb, meaning she has stored your eggs. Okay, she will have more power because even generational cases learn from there. They use that. Okay, in the same what you call spiritual explanation, they tell saying when a woman she's in her menses, she can decree or say anything, it can happen. Those are spiritual explanations, and they say because these masosari they can use others, they use the water for menstrual cycle, where they can get they mix it with something, then they bless you with they decree you that you can everything that happens to you will materialize or happen. Okay, and again, we do not even know that these people, papas, the water that they bath, do not know maybe it's mixed with menstrual cycle, menses. Then people bath, then everything happen. The water that they sell, because the spiritual significance they know, and these people who are the sorcerers and what they use this for their what for their blessing in their occult religion. Okay, so there's significance, but in the biblical way, the Bible has just forbidden us not touch, because God knows the reason why He has said that. Okay, which is the most broken law, of course, amongst us.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
was also coming to say that because, yes, like for those that have married to mostly, like here in Zambia, I would say those that have the Bemba kind of traditional arrangement, most of them have a better understanding, or should we say, have a better way of understanding this study. You will find that these women, they refuse to be touched during these 7 days. They are so strict about it, and they make sure that they protect themselves. And for those that have even gone an extra mile, they will use those beads that they were given to show you that they are not ready for this. They take that kind of traditional lessons serious. Maybe that is where I would say that somehow, and part of the Eastern province, I'm sure, yes, those from the Eastern. But these others, beloved, they don't know. And it is just now that some of these tribes are learning. And you find that somebody is from Eastern provinces, they are getting the Bemba tradition because they have seen the importance. And the men, that's why I'm saying that the men that are married to this have actually shared that traditional setup to these other tribes that you have now seen that instead of now everyone trying to marry a Bemba person because of traditional and whatever barriers or tribal barriers, they've just tried now to import the lessons that peradventure they may have the same understanding that, because just like women, men also sit and discuss. And so some men get surprised when they hear their friends say they manage to do it even when somebody is not yet clean. They say, for me, it doesn't happen. I thank God for this woman that I'm married. So somebody begins to understand, so it is wrong. I'm saying that. So it has helped to advance those kind of cultural values through these borrowed traditional teachings. Now, it is what is now interesting that we see that actually this is biblical and it has been overlooked. And most of the people, like those that are marrying in town, to say the truth, none is following anything whatsoever. If anything, like when you look at the prostitutes, they have developed certain techniques. I'm told some they take cooking oil to stop the menses. I don't know what they do.
Yeah, their stuff.
Yes, they drink. So for them, even when they are attending, they meet a man, you will not know that they are attending or not, because you will not see any blood, because they take I don't know whether it's cooking or some other things. Exactly. Yeah, so you can see that why the world now is diseased the way it is. Oh, you see? So we see that there are many formulas or formula that are used just to somebody will be attending, but you will not see it. Yeah, not necessarily that they have cut it, but they are attending, but you cannot see it, other than just taking the family planning thing. So eventually what we are seeing is the increase in disease is explaining that, as the Bible says, that we shouldn't go after any woman anyhow, because we don't even know their dead. We don't even know, like Prakika was saying, that we should know our women. So it shows us that then that is how best we can be able to play it safe, and then we'll be able to avoid unnecessary diseases. So the diseases are multiplying because we don't know what the woman has done in order to just keep herself in what we may call dry period. So you think that she's dry, when in actual sense, the Bible says that she's unclean. Yeah, so I think this lesson is wonderful. And as we continue, I'm sure we'll be able to develop deeper, like where he's now looking at the two beds and everything else, so that at least we may be able to improve on those other things that we have not improved on, so that the case of uncleanliness, when we touch, okay, we thank God that apart from one which we are told to say, when you sleep with that woman, you'll be unclean for 7 days. These others, where we sleep, it says we are clean up to even. We are clean up to even. So meaning, if she attends for 7 days and you have been sleeping, you'll be unclean yourself for those 7 days until even. Meaning, when she's clean, you are like you are safe. But the point is, we need also to come back to our senses and be asked to say, even those days, we need them to be holy and connected to God. Because the uncleanness, we are taught to say, it is a separation. Yeah. So we don't need that separation, because if we understand what we are supposed to be or to be doing, then it is better, because you keep your connection with God. Like Brother Kigan was saying, that we may not understand the moods of the women when they are coming towards that period or during that period. So also, we do not understand how we get disconnected, because there are times when you feel like you want to study, you are failing, you want to understand something, you are failing, but at a given time, the same thing that you are failing to understand, you find that you understand it quickly and easily. So it means therefore that there are many factors in our lives that affects our connection with God, and maybe we have been taking them for granted, just like we are seeing here. So I feel these lessons are important, because they are like helping us now to understand, say, oh, maybe that's the reason why even something that I knew, I forgot completely and I couldn't remember, because God tells us that in an emergency, even when we are taken before councils, He will give us the power of the Holy Spirit to bring everything to remembrance. Now, what makes us forget in those instances? Could it be, I'm just saying, could it be these things that we have been overlooking? Maybe we touch or we sit. You see, if a woman knows that she's doing all that and she's careless in where she sits, then it means whoever sits where she sat, according to what we have read, is unclean up to even. Now, the point is, we bought buses. We don't know who sat there. You see, we go to markets. We don't know who is selling us. You see, so if we can now begin to interrogate on these things, we will be very careful in how we conduct ourselves daily, because we would want to be sure. Eventually, we'll stop buying anyhow. You know, I'm trying just to provoke our attention to say there are many things that make us defiled.
Because even remember, cancer warns you when you consider the child touching right? Now, want to wear a bush.
So, some of us, all we were told is, it is bad manners. Kulapula muliro kwa nepa. It is better more paper matches. Are you seeing that? So it's like they were trying to help us avoid unnecessary things. So now you see that some of these cases and diseases are being imported by our carelessness, because it's like we don't see even like what I was asking here to say, how can we explain? It is difficult to explain how these spiritual things transfer themselves to us. But all we are told is don't do this, don't do that. Now, when now you are seeing that God is saying that you touch her, you are so that Mwankala pampando simuziva. But Bible eve iziva. Ikamba kuti wamina wankala apo pameza nkala, wankala chani and clean up to even. So you see, that's why that we should pray without ceasing. It means the more we understand these things, the more our prayer catalog grows. Because it's I hope maybe that's what I wanted to just add. So sorry that we have gone almost to 18 hours. But we thank God for this study, and as it continues to unfold, we'll learn more. I don't know if they are, oh yes, I see two, and so Brother Mwale and Brother Nelson, you can follow each other in that sequence by coming to you give your comments or questions. I don't know.
What is the question here? I'm if the woman she's attending, she's clean, not so. Not the issue of now cooking food at home now. Who's supposed to do the cooking now? Because when I'm going to I know she can cook, but salt, she's not supposed to just put salt in the dish. Cooking, she can do cooking. But here, what I'm getting, she's unclean for 7 days. So in that situation, how are you going to do that?
Not only 7 days. Like in your case, she had a male child. Yes. She was unclean for 40 days. Yes. That is one.
So for 40 days, I'm the one who's supposed to be cooking, not so. For the whole 40 days, or the one who's supposed to be cooking, or someone.
Just like the same logic, because we follow the one for pregnancy. Remember, Wakabal, Tima following Manengija, but Yapa period, Tima Ivala.
But the time that she, I was not with her.
And then we follow it. That one, tradition.
After 3 months, so depending on where, and then I'll pick her. Now the question that I'm asking now, the reason why she's attending now, I'm with her. We're just the two of us at home. She's attending now. Who's supposed to be cooking now at home?
It's the one I'm trying to reason with. If that was followed, one when she had a child.
It was followed that way.
Yes. Why don't we follow the one when she's attending? Why?
Yeah. And just what he has brought. Me, I remember because he was saying, and it wasn't explained to us. It is after we became of age that we understood. I want to be open. Tonight, there's what that chatting. Vamai, vapika, then you go iwe. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. It wasn't explained to us, but what was that? Short. Mundi mwafaka. So now that's when we begin. Yeah, within 7 days, but the quick sunny sorti. The following month, so now it's like now we're beginning to learn something there. Those women they understood, except maybe like you are saying. Actually, what that days of positive beginner, they short like is it okay for her to, but someone else puts the salt, or is it just outright that she doesn't? She stops.
Stop cooking. Stop.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yes, there's this book I think I've shared before, The Green Light, and it's talking about explaining about the soils and nature itself, and explains to say the whole purpose of nature, of organism is to live on, for life to continue. So every plant, every animal lives to pass on life. It further explained to say even trees have plants actually grow they nature their own soil in a way that just where they are, they'll shed off part of themselves to the ground, that the bacteria can work on the, maybe say, the leaf, and then in that it nurtures the soil such that it makes the soil so fertile that the next generation of itself will easily grow by shedding part of itself. So in that, even it explains to say, where life is passed on to the next, there is a life lost. And in the whole process, that which is passing on to the next is in itself dying, in a sense, even to us human beings. And following the whole lesson, I'm actually comprehending to say, even nature itself, look at the cycle of the world, the weather, right? You start with rain season, about season, yeah. So even with that, look at where the Jewish calendar starts its New Year, Mvula Yassin. It's like in reference to the lesson of, say, a menstrual cycle, is almost like that of the way the earth runs in terms of its weather. You see a period where the rain come, flowers blossom, comes dry season, and then even the heathens understand this. Look at how they celebrate their festivals. They have the Easter in a certain period of time where the earth is changing a season, similar to the way, like if you look at how the menstrual cycle is, almost the same order of arrangement in how even human beings are. And in that, I think that's why some heathens would even think the world is just governed by laws and then God doesn't exist. Just the laws in themselves governing us. And in those laws, in how we obey them, is how life happens to us, right? And in that, which is not true, because we know there is God who has set those laws in motion for them to actually apply consistently. Without God, they would actually fall apart, because we so again, in that sense, seeing how uh, 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 like what I was saying, on life passing on to the next, it calls for temperance. You see how the prohibition, the period of times will be given to prohibit some activities, so that deliberately it can put in us temperance in those things that we want to indulge. And it is that temperance which is good for us, because it strengthens us, like Prabhu was explaining, in how we connect to God, in how we set our mind straight, in how we comprehend things, and in how we perceive life, because it's all perspective. And we see even in how, during the time of the children of Israel, the soldiers were prevented from going home to stay with their wives, instead being in camp for a certain period of time, because they knew and understood the power of temperance. So that temperance, even in application to us today, will help us to focus, understand, and even build even a physical setup, because we're a temple of God. Even in how even in our resilience in things, even in how we comprehend. So that temperance, even in the lesson here, is showing even to the married and the unmarried, how that can be used to the benefit of our existence in that sense. And then I would like to end the question: the effects of the effect of the, for instance, when I came in, I came a bit late, but I was talking about Pokot. I have a question on that same point you're trying to explain, to say there's a focus given to and born by the intercourse. In saying there's a focus in the semen, which is given to the unborn. I didn't really understand that. And if that was explanation, I would say it is not correct. Yes, I don't know if you understand that, or like a reaction on that. And then
There's a what? There's a faculty.
the moment I came in,
Oh, no, we understand that part.
Yes.
But just phrase your question. Huh?
so my question is, you said there is a faculty, there is a mind of a father transported to the unborn by the semen, saying
Yes.
the faculty is in the semen.
Yes.
So because if the unborn is in the what do you call this, placenta, I don't think there's anything that goes in apart from what goes through the umbilical cord.
No. I know. Continue, complete your thought so that we help.
Yes. I don't think there's anything that goes in apart from that goes through the umbilical cord. So in that sense, how is the thought transported to the unborn? Instead, the only thought that the unborn will get is that which they will learn from their growing actual fact, the habits, the things they do every day. And that's the only faculty that I understand is transported to the unborn. And then I strongly understand how where we read in how the nutrients depleted from the unborn through the intercourse. Yes. So now, what is the effect of, let's say, excessive depletion of nutrients in that sense to the unborn? Is things you can see even from maybe at an adult level, at the baby level, or at adolescents in those lines. So those are my two questions.
Okay, maybe before you leave, I just want to ask something. When you look at the male organ, or maybe should we say the sperm to just be okay, or the seed, as the Bible calls it, the male seed, you find that in it, we are told that there's the DNA. And do you remember that there are certain traits of characters that are in the DNA so that they can determine whose child is it? So on that point, you understand that at fertilization, the faculties of man is transported into the child. So that is the correction that Brother Keegan was making to understand because it was the question that was placed wrongly to say, oh, whenever you have intercourse, you are transferring, which he answered to say there's no transfer of anything when the egg is already fertilized. Yeah, so it was clear. I'm sure you'll be able to hear the recordings when they are played. So maybe I wanted to help on that one, say it is in line with what you have just got to say. There's nothing except that which is now within the context of the endo, yeah, because that is fertilization is complete. There's nothing that can happen. And what he explained was that actually, inspiration was just telling us that what is robbed of the child at that particular time is the nutrients that they should receive, because part of those nutrients are taken over by the mother to go to orgasm. Maybe, I don't know, yeah, there you hit, right? Yes. So that is where we have, but the other concerns you have brought us, sure, my brother Kigan will bring out. So maybe on the part of the DNA of the father, it is through the semen.
Okay. I think that's clear.
Yeah. Your faculty, when you see your semen, then you're clear on that one.
Yes. Maybe
But remember that quote, the same quote that talks about that same one. Yeah, the one that talked about the spiritual nerve, intellectual nerve. Remember the quote?
no. Be mind.
Oh, you already.
I think it was
I didn't even share the recordings because by the time his WhatsApp was done, so I'm yet to send the
okay. Because there's a quote. There's a quote where it says that in semen constitute the spiritual nerve. Okay. So you can read it so that he sees it. Then
I think we agree on its content in its DNA and then in how it fuses form an embryo. And then in that, not constitute as the cells generate. Yes, that is understood. But later on in stage,
no.
That's where I was like,
oh no, I didn't say that. Okay.
The one that started from there, because I saw that when you were entering, you just found that we were talking about what Brother Mukumbu
The second question is what the one.
or the effects. I don't know if it's also.
The effects of you having intercourse during pregnancy.
In the born after they are born.
The effects of
So yeah, do they end up to be genetic?
Yes, because what we see now, we have a lot of than ever before. We have a lot of children born with cerebral palsy, mental conditions, a lot of them. The etiology or the cause, they don't tell us in science. Okay, we can only see it because the Bible has forbidden. For instance, in the same quote, we discovered saying that the chorea, the sperm, the sperm of we call it sperm of a male, and the sperm, we could say it sperm of a female, which is called the chorea in the discussion. Okay, where we see that the expand of sperm is like 1 ounce of it is equivalent to 40 ounces of blood. But Piri converted that 1 ounce equals to 40 ounces of blood is what? Where they are when you do that? Okay, then we discover that it's like 1 liter of blood. Okay, so then when you look at the cells, the epithelial cells, your epithelial cells, which are normal cells, it takes 40 times for ijavainwa machosa vija okazimba wakazi. Okay, 40 times the normal epithelial cells. Okay, so if her she's losing her chorea during that time, during her orgasm, is supposed to develop the unborn child, because in the chorea constitutes all of its dense, in short, it's 40 times than your normal cell. So meaning the child is robbed of much of the nutrients we're supposed to develop. So meaning the mental, okay, everything, we talk of the physical, even the spiritual is robbed of the child. The child will not be, the brain will not be developed fully, okay? The child will be lucid. There'll be a lot of things that the child will be. Kazankara kapua. So a typical child, those things. Cerebral palsy.
It's on the same. Even the effects there, even in men on the other side, because if you look at the build-up of semen itself and what it's contained. If you look at how it's built up, there's almost 5-day period in between from the time you eat food, in when it's converted into chai, into when it's absorbed into the body, and it goes to the bones, and then the bone marrow, and then the semen itself produced. And in that period, it takes about almost 35 days when it's built up. So now, if that semen is not released, it is broken down and then returned into a system, goes through the whole process again, into blood, into bone, so now if that semen is always retained, it builds the whole system, the whole entire system, mentally, physically, spiritually, all those aspects. And from maybe, I don't know if it's like I'm now answering my own question. Say,
Because
if you look at how
what you're
the
saying,
soldiers were sustained from not going for war in those sense, because that retain in itself made them actually focus. They made them more strong in all those aspects. And I think even the temperance which is being brought forth even to the married is the same, to say having that period of time being restrained is actually building you. It's for your good, because in giving out life, you're dying. And then that's why we see even a lot of men, even mediocrity. We have a lot of not thinking men in society, in churches, everywhere. And I think it's one thing that we have not really addressed on the open space. And we've seen how the productivity of men has gone down, and we're just becoming more useless.
Okay, brother, this is a wonderful discussion that we have had. I would love that we the week after next, when we meet, we'll be able to begin there. Because you see that in all that we have touched, we thank God, Brother Kigan, for these lessons that you have brought and the additional depth to which we are now getting. So that at the end of the day now, we may see how we can also fully develop. So we will not just end to say helping the woman not to have orgasm in pregnancy helps the baby to grow. We see that actually, even the retention of it on herself, if she's not pregnant, it means it is also strengthening her, going by the point that Brother Nelson has brought, which also strengthens us. And I mentioned the other time that Brother Kigan shared a book to say, though it comes from people of the world, because sometimes we discard the things just as, it is coming from Buddhism, or somebody who believes it can't be correct. But when now you go through it and you practice, you prove it, you see that actually it is actually the mode that God actually favors. Except we have dethroned it at some point. Like we are looking at all these things that are coming from the Bible that we are not practicing. Then eventually somebody who is not even a Bible believing person is practicing. Remember, God tells us that his love is spread throughout all the world, and he speaks to every man depending on the circumstance and the situation they are in. And I like the shepherd's word when he was telling us about the beauty that we can learn from Buddhism, that God will use the Buddha to bring the people to truth. But when Buddha died, people stopped at who? Buddha. Muhammad, they stopped at Muhammad. So those of us who have the shepherd's word now, we understand, say, it is not everything that is evil in Buddhism, in Islam, and these other religions, except the people ended at the messengers. Okay, so like I was making mention, these wonderful lessons, let us go deeper. And that is what we encourage. Because when Brother Daniel was here and Brother Nelson, before he started speaking, I was of a view of saying that now, let us go and research more. Should our women cook but not put salt? Do we have any quote or any reference? So that whether scientific, because if we don't have any biblical proof, whether scientific, we'll sit down and understand, because science will tell us what happens, because they prove certain things, though they are not always right. But we will hear what is provided there, because we want to be thinking men, so that we prove all things and what first, that which is good. Okay, we have that one. So that if those women of ours are attending, should they have separate beds? If they are to sit, we tell them that they shouldn't be careless in the manner they sit, because they may not see the level of contamination they are throwing in the what? In society. Are you seeing that? So that now, there's something that I'm trying to learn here. Let me bring it open to say there is a reason why maybe we see that the women had their different roles. But today we are pushing them to work as a man. Now, if they are in that period that they are supposed to be separated from other people, but because the nature of the job demands that they should be present, then it means we are forcing them into something that is wrong. Could that also be another form of confederacy that the world has thrown itself in, thinking that we are promoting human rights when we're actually promoting problems for society? You see? So these are things that now our mind should now start thinking deeply on, to say, oh, there is a neglect on our part in that we are pushing for wrong things, and the result is feebleness and disease. So with that said, we'll ask Brother Daniel Mwale to close for us in prayer. As we go home, okay, Brother Swale wants to say something.
The same man can. I'm going to research more, because concerning Kuri, anything that it is in tradition, it's to compare. The Bible is to support, or spirit of prophecy, ni machita out mind. So, pamina topunza pari resoni. Na pesa po vintu vina ngwamene nezo chitachani, cast out. Mwindra point hiyo, nikachita compare ku Bible siku miyako. Nikachita compare ku health siku miyako. But in actual sense, can't buy my quotation yena sina fulfilled. So concerning pamene tuchita research more, pari deep. Nanga mwana kadwala, ngachite meet or not meet. Because vimabwera kuti in society. naye fe bagamba ati mwana mumulengesa nga kyani. So
Okay, thank you so very much. Yeah, so that is part of what we should also delve into. I think, Brother Wallace, you are now good to go to close for us in prayer, and then we'll be able to continue.
We are praying. Our gracious and loving Father, which art in heaven, Father, we say thank you for the gift of life that you've given unto us. We need to come on then of your word. Our gracious Redeemer, oh, we ask you, Father, may you help us, Father. May not only be the hearers, but even the doers of that word. We thank you for the beautiful lesson that you've provided unto us. Help us, Father, to may understand, and may even teach our friends who are still lacking of the same knowledge. Even as we are breaking for lunch, we ask you, Father, may you bless the food that you've provided unto us. We leave everything to your hands, leave in the answer our prayer, just in pray. Amen.
Okay, thank you so very much. This is where we end our morning session. We hope to meet in the afternoon at 14:30 when we will look at the next study. For the continuation, we meet after 1 week. God bless you all, and thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.